Hi guys, Joe here, and today we are looking at episode 3 of What If Civilization Started Over. Um, I guess if you're American, happy July 4th, and let's see. So, last episode, there was this, you know, ginormous war that started over here that includes every country in the world except for these two European-ish countries. But we'll get right into this war, starting up here in the red team. Yeah. hmm So the red team is able to push much, much farther into the um red country, the other red country, yeah, pushing into and eventually taking all of the areas that the gold team, which unionized with this dark red team, formerly occupied. And the um this country is beginning to lose. However, their new turned ally, which is kind of confusing, so you have to watch the last episode to figure that out. The teal team sends resources up to help this country, and it begins pushing back over here, beginning to take back some of the gold team's provinces and beginning to push farther north, taking this area. However, also, if you didn't know, this layer that I turn on is the sides of the war. The squares aren't really side, they're just people who aren't really on either side. We will be over here in the brown team, which is getting kind of confusing over here. But anyway, the brown team will fight back against the Arabian country. The Yemen country will fight back, taking this area away and beginning to fight blue team troops in the south. This cuts off the original blue team landing spot, and so they have to take this area. Well, they don't have to take it, they just do take it. And yeah. So round team forces push into the Arabian country in this area that they recently made a pact with. And remember, the brown team isn't the aggressor here, it is the Arabian country. Now, needing more supplies to help fight Yemen, the Yemenis people, I don't know how to call them, they have to pull their troops out of the orange team as um the Yemenis, well, yeah, the Yemenis push up and take all of the Yemen area under the control of the Green Country. Um, so now if we take a look at the sides layer, we can see that this country is technically unaligned. However, um, the square, the triangle. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. The so the side that is the triangle side. So this is currently the Arabian country, the teal country, the dark red country, the light dark red country, and the dark green country. That changes right away with them allowing the Yemenis country to join their side and thus putting the weirdish green color country on their um own side and not the triangle side, which is now that position is held by the Yemenis country. But anyway, The yellow country also doesn't have a symbol on them, but they are a square one, just so you know. They are not fighting on either side. So, the blue team, seeing wanting more land but having been kicked out of Yemen, begins invading the already collapsing yellow team, which is currently being invaded by the orange team. They swoop through the coast and they are the ones to take the capital. And so the yellow team surrenders over to them, not the orange team. However, the blue team doesn't have occupation really in this half of the country of the yellow team. So the orange team is quickly able to sweep over all of it and meet up here with the teal team, not the teal team, the blue team, where they begin pushes against pushes against the blue team down here in the south is where it's most successful, as the blue again doesn't have many assets down here, as it's not it's not a place where they need to put very many assets. However, the orange team also is able to work up here and eventually take the capital of the yellow team. And the orange and the blue teams come to an agreement. The blue team agrees that they will leave the war if they have this populated province. It's got a major city in it. Now, a lot of countries don't like this. They're like, hey, you're not allowed to do this because the yellow team didn't agree to this. However, they do that anyway. And the orange team is given control over all the rest of these areas. Now, well, the yellow team, they they don't agree to this like blue team occupation thing, and they most certainly do not agree to the next part of this treaty, the rest of the territory getting annexed by the orange team. And they do not agree whatsoever with this. But now the teal team has left the war, and now it is all problems and kidding. So I just realized the brown occupation zone is really close to the orange main color, so I'm going to just like that, make it a little darker. Yeah, like that. As they begin to push, the Yemen country begins to push farther up here, as well as claiming this area from previously unclaimed lands to strengthen their country. Now, the dark green team is currently invading the orange team. However, now that the orange team isn't focused in the yellow team, that is quickly put to a stop, with orange team troops pushing up against the border of the dark green team. Now, the orange team and the teal team, they used to be allies. However, they split. Now they are enemies. So the orange team pulls up and up and up against that. However, the dark green team makes one final push, hoping to protect their capital, taking a major city. However, it isn't enough. Orange team troops push up, retake the major city, and yet again begin their invasion of the Eritrean country, taking their capital and even eventually beginning invasions into none other than their former ally, the teal team, who is now in a full conventional war against the orange team. The collapsing dark green team allows the teal team to quote unquote invade them to protect their territory, and that is what the teal team does, occupying the remainder of the dark green team to save it from total orange control and begin pushing back against the orange in the Nile region of the world. Let's turn provinces back on. They completely liberate this province and begin pushing against them. This province completely taking it eventually. And they begin to push the orange back to their border. They officially liberate themselves right away and begin completely pushing the orange team out of the dark green team. The dark green team government is reinstated by the teal team, officially, yet again, being a country. They also immediately begin. They take the last occupied area from the orange team and begin pushing lots of forces into their former lands, hoping to get revenge for themselves. They take this major city and begin pooling through the northern provinces. The orange team is military is unable to keep up with the might of the teal team, as remember, this is also the teal team pushing. And soon, most of the northern half of their country falls. The yellow team provinces revolt from the orange team, which worries the um blue team, even though they are not officially part of this war anymore. However, the yellow team does now yet again exist. Their forces immediately push into the orange team, taking their capital. And then the orange team surrenders over to the dark green country. And there, that section of the war is over. Now, it's obvious that the war is coming to a close by now, with after the Arabian countries surrender. Yes, they are all surrendering. They see no point in fighting anymore. It's just the red team living a life. The red team believes they can still win, though probably not. And after nearly losing all of their occupied territory to the this country, they agree that they will surrender if they don't lose any territory, and so that is fulfilled. Now let's take a look at this peace treaty. Now the blue team gets to keep that as they left the war. Obviously, the yellow team is very unhappy with this, but they have to maintain good relations with the blue team as they don't want another global war to start. And so however, the yellow team is given control over some territory that they probably like. Maybe they don't. It also has to include me doing something with the cities in this area they shall now control. I believe it is layer 3 that is the cities. No, that is capitals. It must be layer 2. Yes. Um, the city that they're annexing from this country has to turn gold. And the city, formerly yellow team, can turn yellow. As it is now under the control of the blue team. But anyway, back down to this layer where drawn provinces. This is a very messy border. But who cares? They will annex that. Oh no, not that. That, however, will be annexed into the coffers of the ever-growing yellow team. Actually, they're not ever-growing, but who cares? So these are the new yellow team borders. Obviously, the Djibouti country has to maintain control over the Djibouti area, or else they could not be the Djibouti country no more. So that area will remain orange. However, dark green team obviously wants their land back, plus compensation for all of that. Now, this province, it used to be a pretty important province. You know, it was part of the teal team. Wait, I'm drawing this border wrong. They need this. It's a pretty important part of the orange team. However, now the orange team will be shrunken back to almost surprisingly, almost the shape that the dark green team was. Now, the dark green team is now larger than they were when they were, or maybe about the same size as they were when they were originally formed. However, this territory that's like here also used to be dark green. And so the dark green team might try to, sorry, this area used to be like dark green. So the dark green team might try to go get that at some point, but not now. The orange team will be left to live with just this land. Or will they? Nope, they will not. Oh. As the dark cyan team is formed in Africa. Out of those almost not connected provinces of the orange team. So, yeah. These are the only order changes that happen. Angry Yemen faces. Just kidding. Yemen will, of course, gain all of Yemen. Up until that point, I can just color that in however shape I want, as none of this has provinces in it, except until we get up there, so we won't go up there. And there we go, the new world map. Just kidding. We forgot about this country, didn't we? Yep, we did. They will form back into their former self. Now, if we go up to this layer, do we need it? No, it is gone. It was useless. But anyway, now we will take a break from all this Middle Eastern wars, or African wars. Some of them are in the Middle East, but and take a look up here at the none other than, you guessed it, light gray country. Wait a second. There isn't a light gray country. What are you talking about? Yes, there is. All right, there. That area of the South Italians revolts away and becomes the Macedonian country. The Italians are fine with this, as they wanted to expand up this peninsula anyway, which they immediately begin doing, reaching towards the areas of Venice and Genoa. Hope I'm saying that right. They move up that way and go into the Marseille area and take that and begin expanding quite a lot. And this is the official begin of the age of exploration. Not the age of exploration as in America. The age of exploration as in exploring, um, I guess the old world with the Egyptians also taking part in it, not just the Europeans, moving around the Libyan coast and making themselves a little too big for their own good. So that, as happens to be, a country will revolt from them, the light blue country, taking them down to this very small area in Libya. Now, this country will immediately begin taking part in the age of exploration, expanding along this area that the red team would have continued in to if this country did not revolt. However, this is not just an age of exploration of the lands of the Mediterranean Sea. No, no. There are more lands that have to be claimed by humans. Over here in the Horn of Africa is where the next expansions begin, with the blue team moving down and conquering more and more of this area, becoming the true Somalian country after looking at this. However, the Ethiopian country doesn't like the expansion of the blue team, as the yellow team doesn't like the blue team because of this province up here. So the yellow team will move and conquer this area, making it so that future blue team explorers wouldn't be able to come up near the main areas, or what the yellow team considers the main areas anyway, of their country, conquering and quadrupling the size of their nation into the Horn of Africa until they become a large, truly large country, one of the biggest. However, as we move up, more and more is being explorated across the globe, with brown teams expanding along this coast, coming to claim muchly of the Arabic coast, claiming up into Qatar and beginning expansion up here, becoming the country to claim the Persian Gulf. Extending in all directions once they reach it. However, that is all for Arabia, but there is more expansion to be had in Europe. With a small group of people from the SEAL team setting off to form their own country up north in Normandy, becoming the Normandy country. However, they won't stay the Normandy country for long, as they begin quick expansion as the Normandy country and begin setting off into England. They form a sizable English colony in southern England until it begins engulfing all of the island. But that, my friend, will not last, my friend. As they begin claiming up, they meet up here, and that is where they stop. However, this is not the end of what we're going to talk about for Britain today. No, it is far, far, far from it. Britain erupts into a bunch of tiny mini states all across the nation, and I'm using repeat colors because those countries aren't going to be up colonizing Britain. They quickly become very small. And more of these mini countries are beginning to erupt in England, and there's nothing that the Normandy country can really do to stop this. The biggest so far is this country, which this is actually a new color, which takes over much of Wales. However, this is not the end of all the small, tiny countries, with the next one being this light gray. There's a green, which I don't believe we've actually used that color yet either. There's this color. They're not in that country. There's this color of pink. There's this color until Wales has all but completely revolted. Well, they have completely revolted. There's this Southern English one. There's this one over here. There's this one using the same color as their relatives, the Italians, down south. There's this country. There's this country. There's this country. Sorry if this is boring. I'm putting all these countries down. Sorry. There is this country. This one even. As they get farther north, they get bigger than other countries. With this one being rather large. It also has a country reaching over here, also being a rather large one in itself. Then we have many, many more countries popping up all over. Now, if you ask the Normandy country what's happening, they'll say they have no idea. But there's actually a reason for this random explosion of countries in England. They had been testing. The Normandy country had been experimenting on people going, moving, people who were moving to in their new English colony. And they didn't tell people that this was going to happen if they moved here. And people thought England would be a nice place to go. And now the people are angry, so they're leaving their rulers behind. However, since this is not an organized movement, bunches upon bunches upon bunches of countries just pop into existence. And it probably is going to stay this way for quite a bit. There probably won't be a singular country who will be able to unite the exploding British Isles probably anytime soon, but here you go. This is your British Isles. That explosion of countries just waiting to sit there. And this will bring it to our end of today's episode. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.